of all, congratulations on the release of another very thorough survey. What are your findings? And I might add, this is already up on Scrib. Your entire copy is online, available on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and will be on my blog as well. So it's the raw data is already out there. You don't have to go to another media source to get their spin. You can look at it yourself. So with that, congratulations. And what stands out about this version of what you've done? And tell people about the Jobs and Housing Coalition as well, please.
Well, first of all, let me say that it's a pleasure being here with you, Zane.
Thank you.
Jobs and Housing Coalition is a group of 50 senior executives from Oakland's major companies, home builders and developers, major employers like Kaiser, PGA, Comcast, etc., and commercial folks like CCIG, Phillips Armies Group, and several others. We came together to try to elevate and lift up Oakland. Lift up. I'm using their term now.
Like rise up and out loud.
No, we came together to try to improve Oakland. Originally, when Jerry Brown had his 10K plan, a lot of developers came together and they were running into roadblocks, and we thought that if we formed a coalition like this, we could overcome them. And since that time, we've tried to position ourselves as boosters of Oakland's economy, bring more people, bring more housing to town. And a lot of the restaurants and the spillover success that you see is in large part because we've had that successful 10K plan, and our members of our group were very instrumental in it. One of the ways that we try to do that is to get accurate information about voter sentiments in the city. We know that 25 people can come to the city council meeting, scream and shout, and to them in that room, it looks like the world. But there are 420,000 residents of Oakland. So we do polling every 6 months or so on a variety of issues. And this time we have also been polling on the elections for 2014 of the mayor's race in District 2, 4, and 6. We want to caution everybody to say that this is a poll that is a snapshot in time. It does not predict, or it does not dictate who will win. It will let some candidates who are involved in the race know that they've got to step up their game if they want to have an opportunity to prevail. But we did want to know what it looked like in November 2013. We did a poll, then we did another poll in April of 2014, and this is our most recent one. There's a couple of things in here that are very interesting that I want your viewers to know. We have noticed that there has been an incremental increase in the findings by the voters of whether they think things are getting better or worse in Oakland. In 2013, 16% said they were getting better. In 2014, April, that number had increased to 28%, and today it's 31%. Now, 31% is not enough, but it does show a trend in the right direction. We also noticed that when we asked people about their perceptions of the major problems in Oakland, last November, 70% of the people self-identified public safety. That number is now down to 63%. Again, still too high for so many of our folks to be worried about public safety, but it shows a downward trend in terms of that concern. So we're beginning to believe that people are beginning to feel better about the city as a safe place, as a nice place, and that they can enjoy it. The difficulty for the mayor is that while those things may be true, they don't give her any credit for them. Her favorability ratings are still challenging, and the issue of whether they would elect her or replace her is still lopsided. 16% saying re-elect, and 69% saying that they will replace. Now, you would think that if those numbers were that big, when you ask the following question, okay, here are 7 of the top candidates, who will you choose? You would think that if 69% of the folks were saying they would replace the mayor, that she would be at the bottom of that category, but she's actually not. Rebecca Kaplan's number 1, Jean Quan is number 2, Joe Tooman is number 3. So, I'll let political scientists debate this, but it seems to me that if the mayor is in a position where that many people say they want to replace her, yet she can be in second place, that says something either that they're not sure about replacing her, or that they're not excited about all the other candidates either.
Right. I'm curious. 7 of the 15 candidates were mentioned, and the error term would seem to not include the other 15 candidates. If we included the other 15 candidates, how would that change the error term? My point is that the talk is between those 7, but you've got others like, for example, Peter Liu or Ken Houston or Nancy Sidebottom and so on and so on. How much does that actually skew what we've seen here?
Well, I don't know. It's a good question, honest question. We haven't seen them gaining traction, and we do know that there's some other polling that's going to be done by some of our colleagues in the next 2 weeks, and I hear that one of them may include all 15. So maybe we'll know the answer to that now. Back then, we thought we had a good feeling and handle on who were the top contenders. And one of the other things that we were concerned about, it's like when they do the candidate forums. There are 15 candidates. They got to give each one a minute to say what they're going to do to improve the city. What can we say in a minute? We're concerned that if we overloaded our poll with too many individual candidates, we would never be able to get to the right direction, wrong direction issues, the city council issues, etc. So we made that decision to do that. There may be other polls come out that focus just on the mayor's race and don't have everything else that we have, so they might be able to do that in a time frame.
Looking at the results, particularly because I didn't get a chance to look at District 2, there's a wealth of data in here, and the nice thing about this is we actually do a follow-up, and we can dig into that as well and give you more exposure. But sticking with the mayor's race for this round of conversation, I'm fascinated myself that, if I read this correctly, the 2 candidates that have the least, or are least known, are Brian Parker and Courtney Ruby. Ruby is our current elected auditor, and Brian Parker has been, I believe, according to one estimate, the second most in the race. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, we do have a question there that asks whether you have a favorable or unfavorable opinion, and there's a section in there that says, have not heard name, and according to this, 55% report that they had not heard Brian Parker's name, and 50% report that they had not heard Courtney Ruby's name. Only one person reported that they had not heard Jean Quan's name.
Right.
And I'd like to meet that guy.
Is this unusual for a candidate? Does this mean that Brian's camp is spending money in the wrong place, and that Courtney isn't spending money at all, and yet she's not being effective as an auditor? I mean, I think that's fascinating. I think that's a fascinating statistic.
I don't want to, try to read too much into it, Zenny. I do know that when Brian started this race, nobody knew his name. Brian is a port commissioner and a very good guy, by the way.
Yeah.
He, however, doesn't have any past background as a candidate for office. He's never run for anything citywide. So if you look at the other candidates, Tooman ran for mayor before. Shaft was a city council member. Dan Siegel's outspoken kind of guy, and Rebecca Kaplan and Gene Kwan. So I'm not really that surprised that he has a challenge of getting name recognition. A little surprised that Courtney's is not more widely known. She's an elected official, but she's an auditor, so she's not in a political spotlight like the others. So they can make this up if they could. They could make up the name recognition if they could continue to go forward and get some good media and what have you.
Now,
can they translate that in while they're working on that? They translate that into electability, because the old saying is, first they got to know you, then they'll love you. Well, you got to make them know you first.
That's correct. Now, what's fascinating as well is, well, as we speak, Rebecca Kaplan's camp is already putting out that they're ahead and they expect a landslide from this. Your response?
You know, polls are snapshots in time, and an election that is, what, 6, 7, almost 8 weeks away? I don't know exactly.
Yeah, that's about right.
An election that has as much time between now and election day, I'd be very careful about declaring victory. Jean Kwan is a formidable campaigner. She does that better than she does anything else. And she'll have some big guns to roll out. And I think the other candidates, can take this as a wake-up call and activate their campaigns. We know that Libby Schaaf is sitting on a war chest.
Right.
Haven't seen the evidence of her spending it. So, I don't know. I would say, with a word of caution, that, Rebecca shows a lead in this poll from September 2 to September 8th, but there are 8 weeks between that period and November 4.
What I find fascinating, just crunching the numbers real quick, doing my own Nuix index based on your numbers, I took the favorables for the mayor's race candidates you list and minus their unfavorable weightings. And of course, when you do that, you get a negative for Kwan, but among those that are positives, you actually get higher for Libby than Rebecca or any of the other candidates. It's an interesting sort of breakdown to go through. If you were if you were talking to the Oakland resident right now, basically you are, what do you want them to think about this other than, in other words, where are we right now in your estimation, other than the fact that this is a snapshot, and of course keeping in mind, I guess, other sensitivities in your presentation?
Well, because we don't endorse candidates, so I wouldn't want to promote an individual or demote an individual. But I would say that the most important thing about this is that there be a very strong and effective get out the vote voter registration drive. Problem is that we have hundreds of thousands of people in this state, in this city, and not even half of them make decisions that are important. And Oakland needs leadership. Oakland needs to catch this wave of good times that we're in now, so we can create more jobs, create more opportunities for folks. So I would say to anybody who's interested in this, if you don't like the way this looks, make sure you get the candidate that you want and get behind him or her and make it happen. If you do like the way this looks, then do the same. But what we would like to see more than anything else is a fully engaged community. And we hope that efforts like this that kind of, tell people where the voters look like they are will spark interest, and people will, get out and participate.
And also finally, close to finally, how can a viewer join the Jobs and Housing Coalition, your company?
Well, if you wanted to inquire about membership, we have a website, jobsandhousing.com, that has some information about memberships. We are purposefully a small and small and nimble organization, because we want to be able to get things done quickly. And we never want to have a huge membership like a Chamber of Commerce or anything like that. So, we still have some room to grow, but we want like-minded people who want to see the best for the city. And need resources to be able to do that and allow us to continue doing things like this that educate the public.
Now, in some little house cleaning, since I had jumped the gun, there were 400 surveyed, not 1,200. And also, you said the cost of it, what was it? If you can quote the cost, I know it was significantly less than $50,000. Can you say how much it actually was?
We prefer not to.
Okay, I get you. And Greg, we're going to be back with more questions for the rest of the poll, but I encourage everyone to take a look at what the Jobs and Housing Coalition has done. Great work, my friend. I'll see you in Oakland.
Thanks.
All right.
Take care.
Okay.